It was one of those nights that just kicks you in the teeth. I just finished a 14-hour shift at the warehouse, my back screaming from hauling crates all day. To top it off, a thunderstorm hit right as I left, turning the streets into rivers. My truck's wipers couldn't keep up, and by the time I pulled into the driveway, I was soaked to the bone. Jeans clinging to my legs, boots squishing with every step. My phone was at 3%, barely enough to see the group chat lighting up with jokes about the flood. I wasn't laughing. All I wanted was a hot shower and maybe some leftovers. Our little house on Maple Street was dark, which was odd. Jenna, my wife, always left the front light on when I worked late. I trudged up the steps, my work bag heavy with rainwater, and found the door locked. That was another red flag. Jenna never locked it when she knew I was coming home. I fumbled with my keys, but my hands were cold and clumsy, so I knocked instead. Not loud, just enough to get her attention. No answer. I texted her, called her, nothing. The rain kept pounding, and I stood there like an idiot, getting wetter by the second, my phone dying in my hand. After what felt like forever, probably 20 minutes, judging by how my fingers went numb, Jenna finally opened the door. She stood there, arms crossed, looking at me like I'd just crawled out of a dumpster. God, Mike, you look like a drowned rat. This your new style? She said, her voice sharp enough to cut. I just shrugged, too tired to bite back, and mumbled, rough day. She snorted, not in a playful way, but like she was sizing me up and finding me lacking. Yeah, well, it's written all over you. You smell like a wet dog. I tried to step inside, but she didn't move, just kept staring. Finally, she turned and walked away, muttering, don't track water all over my floor. I peeled off my boots, hung my dripping jacket on the rack, and shuffled to the kitchen. Jenna was already there, scrolling on her phone, not even glancing up. I asked if there was any dinner left. She jerked her chin toward the fridge and said, there's some chili. It's cold. I grabbed the container, ate it standing at the counter, the silence between us heavier than the storm outside. She didn't say another word, just disappeared into the bedroom. I heard her talking on the phone, probably to her sister, Lauren, or her mom, Diane. I was too beat to care. I crashed on the couch that night, still damp, not wanting to mess up the bed. The house felt wrong, like the air had turned sour. Jenna and I had our spats, sure, but this wasn't her usual sarcasm. This was cold, mean, like she'd decided I was the enemy. As I lay there, listening to the rain and her muffled voice through the walls, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, way off. And that was just the start of it. The next morning, I woke up stiff as a board, the couch doing no favors for my back. The house was quiet, too quiet, and the first thing I noticed was the kitchen light still on, glowing like it was mocking me. Jenna was gone, which was strange. She never left before me, especially not on a Wednesday. Her coffee mug sat on the counter, full and cold, like she'd poured it and bailed. The front door was unlocked, another weird detail, since she was always paranoid about break-ins. I rubbed my eyes, trying to shake the fog from my brain, and stepped outside to grab the mail. That's when I ran into our neighbor, Tom, walking his old lab, Rusty. Rough night, Mike? Tom asked, giving me that half-smile people use when they know something's up. I just grunted, not in the mood, but he kept going. Saw Jenna's mom's car here real late. Everything all right. That stopped me cold. Diane's car? Here? I hadn't heard anyone come over, but then again, I'd been half dead on the couch. Yeah, probably fine, I said, brushing it off, but my gut was already twisting. Why would Diane be here in the middle of the night, especially after Jenna gave me the Ice Queen treatment? Back inside, I tried to piece it together, but the day was already off to a bad start. The rest of the week didn't help. Jenna started locking the door every night. Even when I texted her I was on my way home. She was glued to her phone, barely acknowledging me, and when I tried to talk, she'd just sigh or snap. I'm busy, Mike. Can you not? It was like living with a stranger who'd already decided I was a nuisance. The house turned into a mess, dishes piled up, her clothes scattered everywhere, takeout containers littering the counter. She'd always been tidy, so this was new. I saw her tagged in Lauren's Instagram stories, out at some bar, while she told me she was working late. I wasn't stupid, but every time I brought it up, she'd shut me down hard. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I sat her down and said, we need to talk, Jenna. What's going on? She rolled her eyes, crossed her arms, and said, you're exhausting me, Mike. You don't contribute anything around here, and my family's sick of watching me carry you. That hit like a punch. Her family? Diane and Lauren had always been nosy, but this was next level. I tried to keep calm, asked what she meant, but she just kept going, saying I was dragging her down, that I was dead weight. She got so worked up she slammed her hand on the table, knocking over a glass. It didn't break, but the sound echoed. I told her to cool it, but she leaned in, eyes blazing, and said, you're the problem, Mike. Fix yourself or get out. I didn't sleep much that night. Her words kept looping in my head, and I started noticing little things, like how my work keys weren't on the hook anymore, or how some cash I'd left in my jacket was gone. No proof it was her, but it added up. I checked our bank account and saw charges I didn't recognize, new dresses, a coffee subscription, some random Amazon stuff. When I asked her about it, she shrugged and said, "Relax, it's just stuff." Relax? With her acting like I didn't exist? I started locking my phone, keeping my wallet in my truck. Something was wrong, and I wasn't about to let it slide. Things got worse from there, like a slow-motion train wreck you can't look away from. Jenna and I were barely speaking, just ghosts passing each other in the house. I started sleeping in the spare room, not because I wanted to, but because the tension in our bedroom was thicker than fog. I'd lock the door at night, not trusting her to stay calm after that table-slamming stunt. My life shrank to the basics: work, eat, sleep, repeat. I stopped asking her about her day, stopped trying to fix whatever this was. Every time I opened my mouth, she'd cut me off with a glare or a "not now, Mike." It was like I was living with a roommate who'd already served me an eviction notice. The little things kept piling up, each one a jab to the ribs. Jenna stopped cooking, so the fridge was a wasteland of expired yogurt and half-eaten takeout. She'd leave her coffee cups everywhere, lipstick stains on the rims, like she was marking her territory. My stuff started going missing: my favorite mug, a pair of work gloves, even a charger I swore I left on the counter. I asked her about it once, and she just smirked and said, "Maybe you're losing your mind." I checked our bank account again, and sure enough, more weird charges, some subscription for makeup, a cash transfer to someone I didn't know. When I showed her the statement, she rolled her eyes and said, "You're so paranoid." "It's nothing." Nothing? Our bills were late, and she was acting like I was the crazy one. Her family didn't help. Diane and Lauren used to text me dumb jokes or pictures of their dog. But now, radio silence. I saw them pull up to the house a couple times, dropping off bags of groceries or whispering with Jenna in the kitchen. One night, I overheard Lauren say, "He's holding you back, Jen. You deserve better." Better? I was busting my tail at the warehouse, paying most of the bills, while Jenna was out blowing money we didn't have. I wanted to storm in and set them straight, but I held back. No point starting a war I couldn't win. The neighbor, Tom, caught me outside one morning, tossing a tennis ball for Rusty. "You okay, Mike?" he asked, squinting like he could see the storm cloud over my head. Jenna's been acting strange. Saw her hauling boxes to her car late last night. Boxes? That was news to me. I mumbled something about her being stressed, but my brain was racing. What was she moving? And why at night? When I got back inside, I checked the garage. Sure enough, some of my old tools were gone, stuffed into a corner like she was hiding them. I confronted her, kept my voice level, and said, "What's with my stuff in the garage?" She didn't even look up from her phone, just said, "I'm organizing." Chill. That was the moment I knew this wasn't just a rough patch. Jenna wasn't stressed, she was done with me, and she was making sure I felt it. I started keeping my distance, only talking to her when I had to. I'd eat dinner at the diner near work, just to avoid the house. One night, I came home late, and she was on the phone with Diane, her voice sharp. "He's useless, Mom. I can't keep doing this." Useless? I've been pulling doubles to keep us afloat. I slammed the door louder than I meant to, and she hung up fast, glaring at me like I'd caught her stealing. "What's your problem?" she snapped. I just shook my head and said, "You tell me, Jenna. You're the one rewriting history." That night, I lay in the spare room, staring at the ceiling, my dog, Buddy, curled up at my feet. He'd started following me everywhere, like he could sense the house was a war zone. Jenna used to love Buddy, but now she barely looked at him. I scratched his ears and whispered, "We'll figure this out, boy." But deep down, I wasn't so sure. Something was coming, and it wasn't going to be pretty. By now, the house felt like a battlefield, and I was done playing defense. Jenna's attitude hadn't softened. If anything, she was doubling down. I'd come home from work, bone-tired, and find her sprawled on the couch, scrolling through her phone, not even glancing my way. The kitchen was a disaster, with dirty plates stacked high and trash bags piling up by the door. She'd stopped doing anything around the house, like she was daring me to complain. I didn't. Instead, I started taking care of my own stuff, washing my dishes, doing my laundry, keeping my corner of the house clean. If she wanted to live like this, that was on her. Then came the phone calls. One night, my phone lit up with a text from Lauren, Jenna's sister, all caps, "Answer Jenna now. She's losing it." A minute later, Diane, her mom, called, leaving a voicemail that said, "Mike, you need to get home. Jenna's a mess, and you're not helping." I just stared at the screen, my stomach churning. A mess? After weeks of treating me like dirt, now I was supposed to swoop in and save the day? I didn't call back. Didn't text. I turned my phone off and went to bed, Buddy snoring beside me. For the first time in a while, I felt a spark of something, maybe anger, maybe clarity. I wasn't her punching bag anymore. The next morning, I found Jenna in the living room, pacing like a caged animal. Her hair was tangled, and she was still in yesterday's clothes. A stack of delivery boxes sat by the couch, some torn open, others unopened, like she'd been hunting for something. I poured my coffee and tried to slip out, but she spun around and snapped, "You're ruining everything, Mike. Just leave if you're so miserable." I set my mug down, looked her in the eye, and said, "You've been pushing me out for weeks. Don't act surprised now." Her face went red, but she didn't say anything, just stormed off to the bedroom, slamming the door so hard a picture rattled on the wall. That's when I checked our bank account again. My card had been declined at the gas station the night before, which didn't make sense. I'd just gotten paid. Sure enough, the joint account was bleeding. charges for subscription boxes, online shopping, even a Cash App transfer to someone named Kelsey. My half of the bills, rent, electric, internet, was unpaid, while Jenna's spending was out of control. I texted her, "What's with these charges? We're behind on bills." No response. I sent another, and she shouted from the bedroom, "Stop controlling me. You're suffocating." Suffocating? I was trying to keep the lights on. That was my breaking point. I sat at the kitchen table, opened my laptop, and set up a new bank account with a different bank. Took maybe 15 minutes. I rerouted my direct deposit, set up auto pay for my phone and a couple subscriptions I actually used, and left the joint account to her. All the shared bills, rent, utilities, even that fancy dog food subscription she insisted on, were tied to her name or the joint account. I wasn't going to drown in her mess. Was it petty? Maybe. But I was done carrying her weight. A few days later, she must have noticed, because I heard her on the phone with Lauren, voice shaking. "He's cutting me off, Lauren. He's trying to ruin me." I walked by, and she stepped right in front of me, blocking the hallway. "You think you're smart, huh?" she hissed, poking my chest. "You think this'll fix anything?" I looked her dead in the eye and said, "You wanted to run the show. Now you've got it." She shoved me, hard enough to make me stumble, and I pointed at her. "Do that again, and I'm calling the cops. Your mom would love that story." She froze, then backed off, slamming the bedroom door again. I heard her crying, but I didn't care. Not anymore. Buddy followed me to the spare room, tail wagging like he was proud of me. I scratched his ears and thought, "At least you've got my back." The house was a war zone, but I was starting to fight back, and it felt good. The air in the house was so thick with tension you could choke on it. Jenna and I were past the point of talking. Every interaction was a landmine. I'd started treating the place like a temporary camp, only coming home to sleep and grab clean clothes. Buddy, my dog, was the only thing keeping me sane, trailing me from room to room like he knew I was on edge. Jenna barely noticed him anymore, which was a far cry from how she used to spoil him with treats. It was like she'd checked out of everything, including her own life. Her behavior got wilder. She'd leave passive-aggressive notes taped to the fridge, "Buy paper towels, since you're so perfect." I ignored them, tossing them in the trash without a word. The mess in the house was out of control, spilled coffee on the counter, laundry spilling out of the hamper, trash bags she never took out. One night, I came home to find her trying to fix the Wi-Fi router, cursing and yanking cables. "This is your fault," she snapped when she saw me. "You probably canceled it to screw me over." I just shook my head and said, "Check the bill. You didn't pay it." She threw a remote at the wall, missing me by inches, and screamed, "Get out if you hate me so much." I didn't flinch, just grabbed Buddy's leash and left for a walk. No way was I engaging with that. Her family kept up the pressure. Diane sent me texts accusing me of breaking Jenna's spirit, while Lauren called, begging me to just talk to her. I didn't respond. What was there to say? Jenna had made it clear I was the enemy, and her family was just fanning the flames. The neighbor, Tom, pulled me aside one morning while I was loading my truck. "Heard some yelling last night," he said, scratching Rusty's ears. "You holding up?" I shrugged and said, "Barely. She's not the person I married." He nodded, like he'd seen this movie before, and said, "Hang in there, man. It'll sort itself out." But it didn't. The real kicker came when I noticed more of my stuff missing: my toolbox, a stack of old vinyl records, even a photo of me and my dad from the mantle. I found some of it shoved in the garage, mixed with Jenna's junk, like she was staging a yard sale. When I asked her about it, she smirked and said, "Maybe I'm decluttering you." That was it. I started moving my things to the spare room, piling her stuff, shoes, makeup, random chargers, in the hallway outside her door. I texted her, "Your stuff's ready for you. Hope it helps." She didn't reply, but I heard her slamming drawers all night. The final straw was when she tried to use my truck keys. I'd started keeping them in my pocket after they went missing once. She cornered me in the kitchen, demanding I hand them over. "I need to run errands, Mike. Stop being a jerk." I looked at her, calm as I could, and said, "Get your own ride. I'm not your chauffeur." She lunged for my pocket, and I stepped back, holding up my phone. "Try that again, and I'm recording." Diane would love the footage. Her face went pale, and she backed off, muttering under her breath. That night, I decided I was done. I wasn't living like this anymore. I started planning my exit, and it felt like a weight lifting off my chest. I wasn't about to let Jenna's chaos pull me under, so I got to work. First thing, I called the landlord, Pete, and told him I was breaking the lease. The house was in my name. Jenna never bothered to sign on, so I gave my 30-day notice. Pete wasn't thrilled, but he said, "I get it. Sounds like a mess. Just make sure the place isn't trashed." I promised I'd do my part, but I wasn't covering for Jenna's tornado. Next, I set up mail forwarding to my brother's place and changed every password I had: email, bank, even my streaming accounts. No way was she getting access to anything. I started packing, keeping it quiet. Clothes, my dad's old watch, a few books, anything I cared about went into boxes. I took them to my brother, Dave's, garage, where he didn't ask too many questions, just handed me a beer and said, "You're doing the right thing." Buddy came with me on every trip, his tail wagging like he knew we were escaping. Back at the house, I kept up the routine: work, sleep in the spare room, avoid Jenna. She noticed I was pulling away, and it made her worse. One morning, she blocked the front door as I tried to leave for work, arms crossed, eyes wild. "You're abandoning me," she said, her voice shaking. "You can't just walk away." I looked at her, dead calm, and said, "You pushed me out, Jenna. You don't get to cry about it now." She shoved my chest, hard, but I sidestepped and walked out. She screamed something I didn't catch, and the door slammed behind me. That night, I got a text from Lauren. "You're really leaving her? She can't handle this." I didn't reply. Then Diane called, leaving a voicemail. "Mike, you're tearing her apart. Be a man and fix this." I deleted it. They picked their side, and I wasn't playing their game. The bank account was another headache. Jenna had racked up more charges, designer sunglasses, some subscription for meal kits we never used. I called the bank and froze the joint account, making sure my new one was safe. When Jenna found out, she lost it. I came home to her screaming into her phone, probably to Diane, saying, "He's trying to bankrupt me." She saw me and threw a coffee mug at the wall, shattering it. "You're a coward," she yelled. I didn't bite, just said, "Pay your own bills. I'm done." She cried then, but it didn't move me. I'd seen her tears before, and they always came with a catch. Buddy started acting weird, too. He'd growl when Jenna got too close, which wasn't like him. One night, she tried to pet him, and he snapped at her hand, not biting but close. She kicked a chair in frustration, missing him, and shouted, "Even your stupid dog hates me." I scooped Buddy up and said, "Leave him alone. He's got better sense than I do." She stormed off, and I knew it was time to go. I booked a cheap apartment across town, nothing fancy, but it was mine. I told Pete I'd be out by the end of the month. He warned me Jenna had called him, begging to stay, but he said, "Lease is in your name, Mike. She's got to figure it out." I nodded. Her circus, her monkeys. Moving day was chaos, but not the kind I expected. I'd planned to slip out quietly, but Jenna had other ideas. I came home from work to find her, Diane, and Lauren in the living room, surrounded by boxes and trash bags. The place looked like a bomb went off, dirty dishes everywhere, clothes strewn across the floor. Buddy's food bowl tipped over. Jenna was crying, Diane was yelling, and Lauren just stood there, looking like she wanted to be anywhere else. I started grabbing my last boxes from the spare room, ignoring them, but Jenna followed me, her face a mess of mascara and rage. "You're destroying me, Mike," she screamed, grabbing my arm. I pulled away and said, "You did this, Jenna. Not me." She shoved me again, and Diane jumped in, pointing a finger in my face. "You're heartless. She's falling apart because of you." I didn't back down, just said, "Maybe teach her how to treat people." Lauren tried to play peacemaker, saying, "Can we all just calm down?" But I was done. I grabbed my boxes, whistled for Buddy, and headed for the door. Jenna tried to block me, but I stepped around her, loaded my truck, and drove off. Buddy sat in the passenger seat, panting like he was relieved. The next few days were a blur. Diane called nonstop, leaving voicemails about how Jenna was unraveling and I needed to step up. Lauren texted once, saying, "She's not eating. It's bad." I didn't respond. Pete, the landlord, called too, saying the house was a wreck, scratched walls, a broken window, stains on the carpet. "You're on the lease, Mike," he said. "You're liable if she doesn't fix it." I told him to send me the bill, but I wanted photos and receipts. He sighed and said, "I've seen worse, but this ain't good." I went back to the house to check the damage. Jenna was there, sitting on the floor, surrounded by empty boxes, staring at nothing. Diane was gone, and the place smelled like stale takeout. Jenna looked up, her voice small. "I can't afford this place, Mike. My credit's shot." I shrugged and said, "Should have thought of that before you blew through our money." She started crying, but I didn't soften. I took pictures of the damage, gouges in the drywall, a cracked sink, and sent them to Pete. When I checked Jenna's room, I found some of my stuff, a jacket, a pair of boots tucked under her bed. I grabbed them without a word and left. She didn't follow. The fallout kept coming. Pete sent a repair bill, and I paid my half, forwarding Jenna's share to her. She texted, begging for help, saying she couldn't cover it. I didn't reply. Utilities got shut off because she never switched them to her name. Lauren texted me, saying Diane was losing her mind, and Jenna was depressed. I wrote back, "Not my problem." That was the last I heard from her. I settled into my new apartment, small, with creaky floors and a leaky faucet, but quiet. Buddy loved it, sprawling on the couch like he owned the place. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. Life in the new apartment wasn't perfect, but it was mine. No yelling, no slammed doors, no one calling me a failure for forgetting to buy milk. Buddy adjusted fast, claiming the sunny spot by the window as his throne. I started sleeping through the night, something I hadn't done in months. My brother, Dave, came by with pizza and a six-pack, saying, "You look human again, man." I laughed, maybe for the first time in forever. Even Tom, the neighbor from the old place, texted to check in, saying, "New folks moved into your house. Seem nice." Rusty misses Buddy, though. I told him to bring Rusty by sometime. It felt good to have people in my corner. Jenna didn't let go easy. She showed up at my apartment one night, looking rough, hair greasy, eyes puffy. She stood by the entrance, clutching her jacket, and said, "I'm sorry, Mike. I messed up. Can we talk?" I didn't let her in, just said, "You need to go. This is done." She cried, saying she had nowhere to stay, that Diane had kicked her out and Lauren was done with her drama. I didn't budge. You made your choices, I said. Live with them. She got mad, called me selfish, but I closed the door and locked it. The landlord texted later, saying he'd seen her on the security camera and could help with a restraining order if I needed one. I said I'd think about it. She kept trying, texts from new numbers, emails, even a letter slipped under my door, all saying she was sorry and needed help. I blocked her everywhere and shredded the letter. Diane tried one last time, leaving a voicemail about how I'd pay for abandoning her daughter. I blocked her too. Lauren was the only one who surprised me. She sent a long text, apologizing for taking Jenna's side, saying she didn't realize how bad things had gotten. I'm out of it now, she wrote. Take care. I replied, you too, but that was it. Too many burned bridges. The old house was a headache until the end. Pete got it cleaned up, but the repair bill stung. I paid my share, and Jenna's half went to collections when she didn't cover it. She tried to claim some of my stuff during the move out, telling Pete it was hers. I sent him receipts and photos, and he returned everything. Jenna freaked, texting me that I was stealing her life. I didn't respond. Lauren later told a mutual friend Jenna was crashing with a cousin, posting vague social media rants about betrayal. I didn't look, didn't care. My family rallied around me. Dave kept showing up with takeout, and my dad called, saying, you did what you had to. Some people aren't worth saving. He was right. I started going out again, grabbing beers with coworkers, even hitting a baseball game with Dave. The apartment became home. Buddy's toys scattered on the floor, my old records on a shelf, no one judging me for leaving dishes in the sink. I saw Jenna's posts pop up sometimes on mutual friends' feeds, all moody quotes and blurry selfies. I scrolled past. Her life wasn't my problem anymore. Looking back, I don't feel guilty. Jenna pushed me until I broke, and when I finally pushed back, she acted shocked. That night she sneered at me, dripping wet in our hallway, calling me a loser. That's what I remember. It's what keeps me from second-guessing. She wanted a fight, and she got one. I didn't win, not really, but I walked away. And that's enough. Life's too short to let someone tear you down in your own home. I'm out, and I'm not looking back.